Yes. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone present today and those watching the broadcast and call the October 3rd, 2017 regular meeting to order with all board members present except Vice President Beiser, who's absent from today's meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. If you wish to address the board on any of the agenda items before the board today and your name is not on the speaker list printed on blue paper located at both entrances to the auditorium, and if you've not already submitted a request for public testimony form, please complete the form and submit it to Ms. Ward, our board action officer. Speakers on agenda items will be called on to speak during the discussion of the agenda item. Once discussion begins on an item, no additional public speaker requests will be accepted. Our bylaws provide that public testimony on agenda items is limited to a maximum of 20 minutes per consent and/or action item, allowing for a maximum of 10 minutes per opposing viewpoint. Public testimony speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker, and depending upon the total number of speaker requests received, the time may be reduced to 2 or 1 minute each. The time limit for speakers on today's agenda items will be announced at each item. Okay, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Second. Please vote. Okay, we'll now have non-agenda public testimony. Testimony on non-agenda items is limited to a maximum of 15 minutes per topic. Public testimony speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker, and depending on the total number of speaker requests received, the time may be reduced to 2 or 1 minute each. If an issue needs further attention, the board may refer the matter to the superintendent for review and/or investigation. Today, each non-agenda speaker will have 2 minutes to address the board. Please remember, no deferral of time is allowed. The board asks that speakers focus their comments on the issue and not on individuals. Non-agenda public testimony is for those topics only that are not on today's agenda. If your topic is on the agenda, you will be called on to speak when we get to that subject matter item. When you begin speaking, the green light will come on, a yellow light when you have 1 minute left, and when your time is up, the red light will appear and a bell will ring. The lights are located directly in front of the podium on the dais next to Ms. Ward. Please finish your sentence when your time is up. Okay, we will call up Francine Maxwell, Stephanie Valdez Flores, Citizen, and Jennifer Tandy.
I object to your arbitrary decision to cut people's time to 2 minutes. That's unacceptable. California law states that students are to receive a free public education, and schools must provide pencils, paper, calculators, science project materials, cheer uniforms, caps and gowns, field trips. And yet, I have to continue to file complaints school by school by school because this school district continues to exploit students and take their money. The district hopes that students don't know the law and will continue to buy school supplies while you waste taxpayer money on things that you shouldn't be spending. Here's a June 2017 letter to parents because a teacher had students buy calculators for math class. And here's what the father wrote. "Come on, man. This is ridiculous. Why not make Eaton pay us back? Of course I have no receipt. Send me $42. This is a parent that's been paying student fees since his kid was in kindergarten. And this school district wouldn't give him $42 for a calculator that you illegally had him purchase because you didn't provide them. And the last thing is, Grants contingent on employees being kept in their positions is not acceptable. It's illegal. The HR director and the business director need to review illegal practices, such as accepting this Mr. Holland's Opus grant for instruments based on the fact that Miss Mendoza will return to the school to teach music for the 2017-18 school year. You don't do that. You don't do that under the employee contracts that you have, under public employment law. You don't have people go and find grants to receive things and then say, oh, by the way, they only will give us the grant if I get to keep my job, because that pushes other people that have rights in this system to their jobs, such as seniority, from having a job, because you guys accepted this grant, and that's on you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Jennifer Tandy, and I really didn't think I'd be back speaking at the BOE so soon. I've been advocating for schools for 17 years, and my youngest just graduated from San Diego Unified School District. So I've got 3 in college now, officially an empty nester. But I wanted to share with you today about an issue that's seriously threatening communities of Pacific Beach, Ocean Beach, Crown Point, Mission Hills, and La Jolla, the proliferation of short-term vacation rentals in single-family residential zones, not the owner-occupied rentals of a room or a granny flat or a garage or even homes where the owner goes away on vacation for weeks or even a month at a time to rent out their space, but the homes and condos and even entire apartment complexes being purchased by outside entities, turning into short-term vacation rentals in single-family residential zone. The owner's not on site. They're from New York, Arizona, local companies sometimes, but they're running businesses in residential zones. Now, there has been a precipitous decline in enrollment in the last few years at San Diego Unified School District. And I know there's many contributing factors to that, but have you really considered the negative impacts of whole home short-term vacation rentals and single-family residential zones that they have on the schools and the overall enrollment of this district? The fewer students we have enrolled, the less money you get. It affects the entire school district, not just the coastal schools. So this district works constantly to promote and market schools to get families to stay in public school, but the lack of affordable housing created by the rapid increase of short-term vacation rentals is certainly a factor in families moving away. In our community, you just have to look next door at Mission Beach and you will see what is happening in Pacific Beach. There used to be an elementary school, there used to be a library, community festivals, hundreds and hundreds of families living in the neighborhood. But Mission Beach is now almost exclusively short-term vacation rentals, and I know that happened over decades and decades, but now with Airbnb and VRBO and the internet, this process of a community changing is so accelerated. It's at lightning speed. So, in Crown Point, La Jolla, and PB, there's some streets with 6 or 7 short-term vacation rentals on a block. These are homes that could have families in them. On the 23rd of October, they are going to propose. Barbara Bree and Lori Zapp and Myrtle Cole have a proposal I've put there to you. It will benefit the schools of San Diego. We feel it in Pacific Beach, the decline in enrollment because the housing has gone away. So please consider weighing in and perhaps speaking with those city council members that you have a relationship with to support the schools in our community.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
I'm here speaking on behalf of Kip Adelante, so I will just wait when the subject comes up.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Okay, we will now move on to item E1. This is the action on the renewal of the charter petition for the Charter School of San Diego. So I guess do we want to, can we get a motion first?
So move.
And do we have a second? Second. Okay, Superintendent Martin?
I'm going to invite
Yep.
Deidre up. Thank you.
Page 534.
Thank you.
President.
Yes.
Item E1 is the action on the renewal of the charter petition for Charter School of San Diego.
Teacher, is your microphone on?
It is.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Maybe I just have to speak up. Staff is recommending that we grant the renewal of the charter school for a 5-year term beginning July 1, 2018 and ending June 30, 2023 to serve grades 6 through 12. And we've noted 4 clarifications that we'd like to see approved as part of the petition. The public hearing for considering the level of support for this school happened on September 12th. And the school currently operates a non-classroom-based program for students in grades 7 through 12. And as part of this renewal, they're seeking to expand grade levels to 6-12 beginning July 1, 2018. And the charter for Laurel Prep will expire as of June 30, 2018. So the next 2 pages detail the clarifications to the 4 sections of the charter that we've requested. We've also included in tables 1 and 2 an overview of Charter School of San Diego and Laurel Prep's enrollment and academic data available from the state. Next, we move into the academic analysis. We've noted the current 8 criteria under Ed Code for which a charter school would be renewed. A charter school must meet at least one of the criteria before receiving a renewal. The following pages are the academic tables, if you will. We note that Charter School of San Diego participates in what used to be the ASAM model and is now transitioning to the DAS model. The tables, as you can see in the charts, the tables do reflect increases in student achievement and reflect that the school has satisfied at least 4 of these noted renewal criteria for academics. We've also included some demographic data for the school. A summary of the LCAP is in their 4-year review, their projected enrollment over the next 4 years, their locations, which includes the administrative and resource centers. And we do note that all of these sites are currently compliant with geographical restrictions. So they have transitioned all of their sites within our boundaries. And then also we have the finance review, which has determined that the school's ending net position meets the minimum reserve and the school is fiscally solvent.
Great. We've got a number of speakers, so we're going to limit comments to 1 minute per person. Call up Tim Tudor, Joseph Gibbons, Madison Laliberte, Hannah Eubanks, Laura Eubanks, Priscilla Barajas, David Goyette, Kimberly Montes, and Eula Stevens.
All right. Good evening, Superintendent Martin, President Barrera, members of the board. Pleasure to be here tonight to support the renewal for the Charter School of San Diego. This is our 24th year serving the students of San Diego Unified. We've worked hard over the last many years in current charter term to create an innovative, highly effective charter environment for students, and we look forward to continuing that work. Appreciate your comments at the public hearing and also the collaboration with the charter office during this renewal process. I know we have a few speakers, so I'll turn it over to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Gibbons. I'm a teacher for the Charter School of San Diego. When I moved to San Diego a year and a half ago, I had numerous options of where to teach, from traditional public schools to charter schools. I chose to teach with the Charter School of San Diego because I was truly impressed with the effort put in place to help each student meet their goals. The program is designed to help each student work independently at their own pace, and I am able to work one-on-one with each of my students. This gives me the ability to customize their education according to their future educational and career goals. To accomplish this, I am given many tools that allow each student to express their level of understanding in each of their classes. Using these tools in this program, I have personally witnessed students achieve their goals. I am proud to get to be a part of such an impactful organization, geared to putting students first. Please renew the Charter School of San Diego.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Julia Stephen. I'm the grandmother of Valencia Stephen. When Valencia enrolled at the Charter School of San Diego, she was unmotivated, and we were worried that she would not graduate from high school. This school has been life-changing for not only for Valencia, but for our family. I am so proud that thanks to the teachers who helped her and encouraged her, that she is now a high school graduate. This school does amazing things and for students, did amazing things for students. Everyone at this school believes in the students and that they can be successful. Valencia now are motivated and believe in herself and is ready to achieve her goal and dreams. I would recommend to anyone who needs different environment to help them learn, please renew the CSSD charter so that this school can continue to help students.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maddie Lalaberty, and I came to the Charter School of San Diego because at my previous school I was following the wrong crowd. I was doing everything I knew I shouldn't because my group of friends told me I did. I needed a change. I came to CSSD to focus more on my education, and then I heard about the Cadet Corps program. I joined Cadet Corps to become a leader and positively impact the lives of those around me. I have met many individuals at this school who have changed my life for the better. I would like to thank you for approving our school. It helps so many people have a second chance. I, for one, have become more responsible and mature because of CSSD and Cadet Corps. Please renew the Charter School of San Diego. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt.
Good evening. My name is Priscilla Barajas. I am 14 years old, and I am in 9th grade at the Charter School of San Diego. I came to CSSD because my previous school couldn't provide me a flexible schedule, which I need for religious obligations. CSSD has not only provided a flexible schedule for me, but it has also provided a personalized education plan. My teachers are able to understand how my brain processes information, and they know exactly how I learn best. I love the one-on-one time I get with my teachers, and that I get to be an independent thinker throughout all my classes. My rigorous coursework challenges me and allows me to be creative by demonstrating my knowledge in various ways. Please renew our charter so that more lives can be transformed just as mine has. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Hi, my name is Kimberly Montes. I am a senior. I've been a student at the Charter School of San Diego for 2 years. I started reaching out to this school because I needed the extra support and the one-on-one quality time with the teacher. My older brother graduated from this school and told me how they would really help me because teachers relate to you and support you no matter what. This school helped me connect and understand real-life situations, how to be mature, and how to plan my life after high school. This school is very accepting, they are very understanding, and teachers are very enthusiastic. Without the Charter School of San Diego, many students would be left behind and unmotivated to be successful. Please renew our charter school.
good job.
Good evening. My name is David Goyette, and I'm a teacher with the Charter School of San Diego. At CSSD, we're committed to high-quality, standards-based instruction with each student's interests, input, and needs in mind. The individualized curriculum and one-on-one support in the Resource Center gives students the chance to accelerate in classes which they excel and gain greater understanding in subjects where they have struggled in the past. Our independent study program provides a safe environment and a supportive educational team to help students excel, and I'm proud of the work that we do. Over my 17 years working with students, I've been fortunate to partner with students and families regardless of the student's situation. To help my current students and many more in need of our program, I strongly urge you to renew our charter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Hannah Eubanks, and I'm a 2016 graduate of the Charter School of San Diego. I've always been a very independent person, and I felt frustrated and restless in traditional schools. I was not allowed to work at my own pace, and I was becoming an increasingly unmotivated student. The Charter School of San Diego provided me with the independence that I craved. The small resource center dynamic allowed me to have in-depth conversations about homework with my teacher, as well as other teachers and resource center associates. I was also able to complete classes at the rate that I felt comfortable with. Because of this, I finished all of my courses a couple of months early. The independent style of study and one-on-one mentoring offered at the Charter School of San Diego prepared me for a successful freshman year at Southwestern Junior College. I have maintained a 4.0 GPA and am majoring in sociology. I look forward to transferring to a four-year university and finishing my degree. I owe all of my academic success to the Charter School of San Diego. Please renew the Charter School of San Diego. Thank you for your time.
Good job.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Laura Eubanks, and that was my kid, and I have 3 more just like her. My 2 eldest children thrived in traditional school. They easily acclimated to the structure of traditional high school, were accepted to wonderful universities, and are happy, successful adults. My 2 younger children had a much different high school experience and are graduates of the Charter School of San Diego. My older daughter, Alex, was struggling to keep up academically and was often the target of bullies. The demands of taking 6 courses at a time, along with the stress of not fitting in with her peers, proved to be too much for her. My younger daughter, Hannah, is fiercely independent and did not conform to the structured schedule of traditional school. She was academically ahead of her peers and was often frustrated she was not allowed to work at her own pace. For Alex and Hannah, Charter School of San Diego was a perfect fit. Alex and Hannah graduated on schedule and have gone on to lead productive adult young lives. Hannah is attending college and majoring in sociology, and Alex is working full-time as a senior adult caregiver. I give Charter School of San Diego my highest recommendation. Please renew the CSSD charter.
Okay, board member questions or comments? Dr. McQuarrie?
Well, thank you for your presentations. We had, as usual, a great showing of support, great comments. Your contributions that you're making and the experiences that you have shared are similar to the ones that I have experienced when I have visited your schools and met with teachers, students, and with staff. So I've been pleased to to support this charter. It's a charter that has been established early. It was our first charter in San Diego County, so it is the first and oldest. And it was started for the right reasons and has been continued for the right reasons. It was to remove some of the requirements, some of the regulations, to give schools an opportunity to explore and to experiment, to create a way in which students can have alternatives and parents could have additional choices. So we heard from a grandmother and a mother and students and teachers about how this has transpired at the Charter School of San Diego, and it's a charter that has grown at the right rate in addressing the needs of the students. We heard students who needed an alternative, students that needed to be inspired, students that needed independence, students that needed a second chance, students that needed support and one-on-one and a curriculum that allowed them to either move slower or faster. So it was an opportunity to develop a curriculum and an instructional strategy that worked for many students, and I believe we have students in San Diego area who are graduating from high school and going on to pursue their college careers because of the existence of this charter. Charters are an adjunct of the San Diego Unified School District. We are contract with charters in order to help them fulfill their mission. When they prove to be financially supportable, and I see we have this, when they are meeting the needs and achieving the goals and objectives that they've set, I think we have this. When they are accomplishing their purpose, and I see that we have this, I am pleased to support the approval of this charter.
Thank you, Dr. Evans?
Yes. Well, thanks to the Charter Office for doing a very thorough review and all the information that was provided by the Charter School of San Diego, which all seems to be in order. But I think even more impressive than what's written on paper is the turnout of this number of students and parents and supporters, which really says a lot about the quality of the school and the enthusiasm of the people who are waving their little signs there right now. So, and as we always come back to, one of the purposes of charter schools is to be able to operate more freely without some of the same restrictions that we have in traditional district schools, to develop new ways of doing things and new ideas. And I think the fact of the matter is that we've seen a lot of what charter schools are doing can actually be applied in some of our district schools. So I would really encourage continued cooperation between the Charter School of San Diego and district staff in terms of finding ways that we can meet the needs of even more students at our district schools at the same time that you're providing the service to the students at San Diego, the Charter School of San Diego. So for that reason, I'm very happy to support the renewal of this petition also.
Great.
I would like to be the one to say congratulations to you because it's approved. Their support, my support, you have it. Congratulations.
So we don't need to vote.
We don't. I think we do need to vote, so please vote. And it's unanimous. Congratulations, Charter School of San Diego.
I'd like to make one additional comment and thank Tim and the board and the leadership of the Charter San Diego for the effort they've made to work with the district and working with our charter office. It does make a big difference when we can gather together and talk about issues and concerns and arrive at solutions that are beneficial to everyone concerned. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to item E2. Why don't we'll let the Charter School of San Diego exit. Okay, why don't we move on to item E2, and this is the public hearing to consider the renewal of the charter petition for KIPP Adelante. Superintendent Martin, would you like to present the item?
Thank you. As you said, this is the public hearing for KIPP Adelante, and it's the initial hearing for first read. Ms. Walsh?
Thank you. So, as you said, public hearing to consider renewal. KIPP Adelante is operated by the nonprofit public benefit corporation KIPP San Diego. The school is part of the national KIPP network, which operates about 209 charter schools. KIPP is seeking a renewal of its charter for a 5-year term beginning July 1, 2018 and ending June 30, 2023. There's a chart that has the initial charter term, which was July 1, 2003, and then it's been renewed twice since that time. KIPP serves grades 5 through 8 on a non-district site at 1475 6th Avenue, which is within the attendance boundaries of Washington Elementary, Roosevelt Middle, and San Diego High. And the following tables provide an overview of KIPP's enrollment and academics, as well as the school's projected enrollment for the next 5 years. The KIPP Governing Board is the decision-making body for the charter school, and there are currently 7 governing board members as summarized in the table. And district staff is reviewing the charter renewal documents submitted by the school and will bring a recommendation to grant or deny the charter at a subsequent date.
Okay, thank you, Deidre. We've got 3 public speakers who will allow 2 minutes each. Paula Padilla, Alida Padilla, and Felipe Enciso. Oh, sure, yeah.
Hi, my name is Paula Padilla. I'm going to be translating for my mom right here.
All right, thank you, Paula.
Good afternoon. My name is Celida Padilla. My daughter Paula is in 6th grade in KIP Adelante. I'm very happy and grateful with KIP and all its staff because of all their time and effort they put in the students. The staff of KIP shows how much they care for all their students and all the motivation they show to their students. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about my experience in KIP Adelante.
Right.
So my name is Paola Padilla. I'm in KIP Adelante Preparatory Academy. I started KIP in 5th grade, and they have shown me a lot. And what I mean by a lot, they have shown me how to express myself, motivate myself, and they have helped me a lot with my grades. My whole entire life, I've been below basic, and I'm actually now a B and A student with my grades. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Felipe Enciso.
Good evening, my name is Felipe Enciso.
Aquí para adelante es una escuela muy buena, de ahí mi hija se graduó.
KIP Adelante is a very good school. My daughter graduated from there.
Y de ahí ellos le ayudaron a irse a la high school.
They helped her go into high school.
La Joya Country Day.
To La Joya Country Day.
Y de ahí tuvo ella la oportunidad de irse a la Universidad de la USC.
And then from there she had the opportunity to go to USC.
Y me siento orgulloso porque es mi hija y es la primer nieta de la graduada en la familia.
I'm very proud because she's my daughter and she's the first granddaughter to graduate.
Y muchas gracias por tenerla en cuenta la KIP Adelante y adelante la KIP.
And thank you very much for considering KIP Adelante. Go KIP Adelante. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Do you want to speak? Can you give us your name, please?
Stephanie Valdez Flores.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Stephanie,
Yes.
you had signed up earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. It's okay.
I am a former alumni of KIP. I'm a class of 2017. I started there when I was 5th grade and went on to graduate from there. And with the help of KIP, I was able to attend a boarding school in New York with a full scholarship. I've graduated now from college from Alliant International University in a criminal justice major. And without them, I don't know what I would have done. They've supported me when I was there, and they support me now, even as an alumni, and now because of them, I'm here today to represent them and hope that you renew their contract. I've added myself as a board member, as alumni board member, so that I can continue to help them and support the new KIPsters that are coming after us. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, board members, this is a public hearing, so do you have any questions or comments for either the petitioner or Deidre? Go ahead, Dr. Evans.
Well, I just noticed that the school is 5 to 8, right? Correct. Okay, which is just different than most of the schools. Not a middle school, 6 to 8, so
Yes.
they
It is a
evidently
different
go to another school, elementary 4 years, and then somewhere after that for high school. Okay.
Dr. Whitehurst-Payne? You got a lot of info, yeah. Okay, Dr. McCory?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to pull up the page, a couple of pages on their document, but if not, I could maybe describe it. But page 19, 20, and 23 allow for some interesting comparisons of the students that are going to KIP. And KIP is made up of students who they're challenged. They need a lot of support and a lot of help, and I've done a number of visits at KIPP, and I've been there for Career Day to share what it's like to be a teacher, to grow up and become an educator, and I've had been in the classroom and spoken with students. And what was stated here earlier from the student about the inspiration and the support that they get, and it, not only we learn during the KIPP years, but it's followed through into their postgraduate promotion years. So. But the chart that I wanted to share shows the scores of KIPP and then the average of schools, and then the Memorial Prep and Millennial Tech and Knox. And it shows the scores for ELA and math and science. And what I noticed as I looked at that is that KIPP is doing something that is working quite well in the areas of EAL and math. KIPP also, and in science. The scores that's not shown here, but is made reference to in their documentation, is that while KIPP is in the neighborhood of Roosevelt, they acknowledge that Roosevelt is doing better. And they are not drawing students from the Roosevelt attendance area. They're drawing the students from Knox and Memorial and Millennial Tech. And I think I found that to be fairly interesting. Where our students are doing extremely well, they're staying in those neighborhood schools. And then some schools and some parents are choosing a charter, right, and in order to have those needs addressed. What we see, and then there are a number of issues, so I would encourage the board to take a look at those 3 pages, and it tells an interesting story and raises a number of really interesting questions about how we can use our charters, gather meaningful data and outcomes, and determine what is it we are doing that's working, what can we borrow and learn from, what are the best practices.
Thank you, Dr. McCord. Deidre, I'm sorry, Dr.
No.
I had a few questions, not really related to the KIPP petition, but because it's a public hearing, really related to the type of analysis that comes forward to the board as we consider either new petitions or petitions for renewal. And so the first set of questions revolve around there's a new accountability framework, I understand, that's been adopted at the state level for how districts analyze petitions. Could you walk us through what are some of the differences, and is that framework now in place as petitions come forward to San Diego Unified? Yeah.
Certainly, thank you.
Yeah.
So the state did adopt new accountability measures. It's called the California Accountability Model and School Dashboard. That's the one that's already in place for this school year. And the state is currently working on the second type of accountability model, which is what I referred to earlier. It's called DAS. It's replacing the ASAM. So it's going to be the new alternative schools model. It won't be available until fall 2018 is when the state expects to release that model. So right now, any ASAM school doesn't have an accountability model, a new one that's been developed by the state, but the more traditional schools would fall under these new accountability measures. There are a couple of differences between them. So these are accountability measures that we do monitor. Charter staff began monitoring them as of last year as part of our annual site visits. So we ask for the data points that are in those accountability measures. And they're things like graduation rates, suspension rates, EL progress rates. Chronic absenteeism is expected to be an indicator, but not until fall 2018. So we are asking and monitoring those data. And then in relation, there's a separate set of renewal criteria. So these are separate. These are accountability measures that we're going to monitor, and we can provide data on them moving forward. Like for instance, there's the California dashboard printouts that we can attach. There's the California 5x5 program grid that we can attach for board members to see. For today's renewal of Charter School San Diego, because they are an ASAM school, there's not any printouts yet. But in future renewals, we can start doing that. And then renewals are governed or directed by statute. So if you noticed in the Charter School San Diego renewal, there were 8 different criteria that a charter school could meet renewal criteria for academically. They have to meet a minimum of one of those. As you saw, staff doesn't stop at reviewing or analyzing just one. We look at all of the different ones to see how many different ones they could meet. So we do monitor that. But the renewal is guided by those statutes. And so they have to fall under one of those 8 criteria. And so while we monitor the accountability measures, it's that statute with the 8 criteria that really pushes the renewal process.
Okay. And what puts a school into the alternative framework rather than the traditional framework?
So any school that was considered an ASAM school, an alternative school, and to qualify as an alternative school, there are some that qualify just by statute, but charter schools have to actually actively file an application with the state to be designated as an ASAM or now a DAS school.
Yeah.
And in order to qualify, 70% of your student population has to be made up of certain groups, high-risk groups,
Okay.
essentially. And so the state has laid out about 8 or 10 different groups that
Okay.
they look at. And as part of the new process, you have to recertify your student data every 3 years to make sure that you are still in that 70% range.
Okay. And then schools that are in the, I don't know if traditional is the right word, but the non-alternative framework, the new framework does, because we're going through the dashboard and these different areas, we are looking at things like how the school is doing with English learners, with foster students, homeless students, students with disabilities. Is that correct?
Yes, and you'll see that too already in the academic renewal criteria. We have to analyze their academic progress school-wide and by subgroups, by numerically significant subgroups. So essentially, excuse me, if there's 30 or more students in that group. The homeless and foster youth group get pulled out especially, even though there's typically less than 30 students in those groups, because they are called out specifically in LCAP, and we also pull those out and have them report to us as part of their renewal on those subgroups.
Okay, oh, great. And what I might suggest for the board colleagues, and please weigh in, is so when we're looking at the analysis that the staff brings forward to consider a petition or a renewal petition from a school like KIPP, as we are tonight, Deidre just walked us through the kind of the framework and the criteria that the state ed code calls for in our analysis. And so obviously we'll follow that framework and that criteria. But I think what feels sometimes is missing from the criteria or the framework and ed code is more of our ability as a school board to think about the system as a whole. So I think the criteria and the framework tend to focus on an individual school petition that comes forward. But as the governing board for this district, we know that our district is made up of really an ecosystem of schools that are operated by the district and charter schools. And we've got certainly a robust part of that ecosystem now that is made up of charter schools. And so I think it's necessary, even though it's not laid out in ed code, I think it's necessary for us to think about how schools in that ecosystem affect each other and affect our students overall. And so a few things that I might ask for in analysis of petitions coming forward, even though they're not called for in the ed code, would be some analysis around, how this petition before us impacts the overall school system of existing district-run schools and charter schools. I think the analogy would be if the superintendent came to us at any point and said, we want to open a new district-run school in a part of the community, and say we want to open a new middle school in Claremont. I think the questions that we would be asking would be, why do we need to open that school? You know, what is that school going to add to the existing, options that students have? Is that school potentially going to draw students from existing schools? And then what's the impact, on those schools? What are the sort of demographic projections in that community that call for a new middle school in Claremont? What are the facilities considerations, as we think about opening a new school? All of those would be natural questions that we would have if we were talking about a new district-run school. It seems like those types of questions should factor into at least our we should at least have an understanding of the impacts that a petition or a renewal petition for a charter has on the existing schools in our system, charters and district-run schools. And so I might ask the superintendent and Deidre for future petitions as they come forward to do some analysis on the impact that we see a petitioner having on the existing charter schools or district-run schools as they come forward.
There's a point of order here.
I'm sorry? No.
This is a hearing for Kip Adelante, and you're going off on general charter things. I would ask the general counsel to state if you are staying within the agenda.
Well, I'm going to ask you to be seated and not interrupt the board meeting. So that would be my general request, that we have some analysis that comes forward to us on future petitions that look on the impact overall of the system and certainly on schools in the proximity of where a petition or a renewal petition comes forward. And so I don't know if board members want to weigh in on. Yeah,
just putting it into the context of the KIPP charter.
Yeah.
KIPP would be is an interesting issue. As I mentioned, they're in the neighborhood of Roosevelt, but yet they're not drawing from that neighborhood. So it would see. So I understand where you're heading, and we have 48 charters. We're the second highest number of charters in the state of California, and they come in all sizes and shapes. And KIPP is one of these, which is in a neighborhood, but it's drawing students from outside of that neighborhood. We have other charters who, like Preuss, where they draw from specific families from around the I think the entire county. And there has to be a child who's from a family who's never been to college and of low income. We have High Tech High, which is a lottery, and they draw a certain number of students from each zip code. So they're pulling from everywhere. So they may be located in Point Loma, and I think Chula Vista, and soon to be Kearney. And so we need to take a look at that. So I think your comments are well taken. I think it's an issue that they're looking at statewide, and it has to do with saturation is one area. But I think it's something we could talk about, and I would think we'd include our charters in having that conversation as well. So I think they also are concerned about where charters are and who's being drawn from which group and what type. So I think it's a broader conversation that would involve our charter association as well.
Dr. Evans?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about two things. I mean, one is a renewal like we're facing with KIPP, and then the other is when there's a new charter petition. And when you talked about the 8 areas, and we saw those for the Charter School of San Diego today, Deirdre, I mean, are those the 8 criteria of the LCAP? Is that the same?
No, so the accountability measures relate more specifically to the LCAP. The 8 criteria are set by the legislative body for the state. So they are the body that would have to change those criteria. And there was a bill introduced earlier this year that would have done that, but it didn't go forward, and it was placed in the inactive file over the summer. But those are what the state legislature has said. These are the academic renewal criteria that you authorizers must consider. looking at a
just so I
renewal.
understand, for alternative charter schools?
No, those 8 for every school.
For every school?
Yeah. So like
But they are not identical to the state 8 criteria
They are
for public schools?
totally separate from the 8 state indicators or the 8 state priorities.
Okay. But then you said there are 8 different areas and the charter school only needs to meet 1?
So on the 8 criteria, the statute identifies 8 different criteria, academic criterias that the school needs to meet. They need to meet at least one of them. So it's a minimum standard. So the charter school must meet at least one of these 8 specified criteria. We look for them to meet more than one, but in order to be minimally qualified for renewal, they have to meet one of these 8 criteria. And
That seems pretty incredible for 1 out of 8. So they could, let's say a school had, professional learning to increase teacher effectiveness, and they did in that area, but they did not meet the criteria for student achievement, for broad and rigorous curriculum, for a safe environment, for innovative community-based resource. All of these things could not be met, and yet they could meet 1 out of the 7 out of the 8 could not be met, and according to the statute, it would still be approved.
It could be. So in addition to the academic renewal, we also look at the operational, governance, and financial side of it. So if a school meets just like, if they just met one of the academic criterias for renewal, but we saw that they had strong operations, strong governance, strong finances, we might look at that data and go, okay, given the school as a whole, they did technically meet the minimum standard for academic renewal. Or the opposite could happen. We could see a school that has made some academic achievements, but we see that operationally and financially they can't sustain themselves. So we might not recommend a renewal for that school. So it's a combination of items.
So, and not that I'm a fan of high-stakes testing, but how does the SBAC or things like that fit into charter school renewal?
So right now, of those 8 criteria laid out in Ed Code, they would fall under number 8, the alternative measures. And so the SBAC scores, we now have them for 3 years. So the staff uses those as the alternative measures under Ed Code section 52052. So that's how it's incorporated in. Because if when you look at the language, and we hope that the legislature catches up soon, the renewal criterias relate to API, to decile rankings that haven't been issued in multiple years.
Right.
But that is what what we still have to consider their renewal on. But the alternative measures is where we fit in the SBAC or the CASP scores. The EL progress rates would fall under there. Any of the, like if a school there was at least 1 year where the state did absolutely no assessments. And so we asked charter schools to supplement the academic data with whatever assessments they did. The common one is NWEA MAP assessments. Some schools use Illuminate. There's some others on the market, but we asked them to supplement the state data for those out years with their own academic data to show progress that students made.
Okay, I mean, I think this is a really important discussion because, we need to make informed decisions, and I know when I first came on the board, it was just like, they meet this criteria, you approve, they don't, you don't approve, and in which case, it would just be an administrative procedure. I mean, then it would basically, in my mind, I mean, it would be the charter school office would just make the decision if that's all there was to it. So there must be some reason that the local school board is brought into the decision more than just an administrative decision if you've met certain criteria. And I think what Richard brought up is important about the effect on the entire system, because if you were to, the example he gave, you were to add a middle school into an area that's already has a middle school, there's a potential negative effect on both sides. That number one, the district school may lose some resources, but also it could play into the potential success or failure of the charter school going into that area if it's a reasonably functioning district school in the first place. So as a board, we're responsible for the education of all of the children who live within the boundaries of the San Diego Unified School District, and that includes kids in charter schools and district schools. So we can't say if something a charter school is going to do is going to be harmful to district students that doesn't matter, just like we don't want to do something as a district that would harm charter school students. So I think we need to keep exploring this, and even though we obviously will follow the rules and the statute in terms of what we approve or disapprove, we at least need to clarify what's going on so the public is very informed about what the issues are with district schools and charter schools.
Dr. Witherspoon.
I've said all along that district schools, traditional schools, charter schools should all be held to the same standards. And that's one of the issues about taking everybody. Charters should take everybody just like district schools, traditional schools have to do. And in terms of the data, are we saying that the district also could choose not to use SBAC scores and not report them or not be held accountable, versus if we use one of those other criteria, then they don't have to report them or take them. I mean, it's kind of like apples and oranges here, and we're trying to make a comparison. So, back at you, Deidre.
Superintendent, did you have any thoughts on this?
No, I think what you've done is you've just added some clarification as staff prepares reports for any charter renewal, the level of detail and information. There's the required amount of information, and then there's additional information to provide context. And to me, that is consistent with anything that we would bring forward, is to put it into the greater context of the district and the overall outcomes that we want for students. And I think I can work with Deidre on what that report would look like. I'm imagining it would be the template that you currently have that you use. We would expand. We're clear on what the 5 legal reasons are, but to be able to have the public, and when we have a hearing like this, that as much information as possible is necessary. So it's a helpful conversation for us as staff to know how to best frame the public dialogue so that we can have the most meaningful, engaged public discourse at a hearing like this with as much information available as possible. And it's important for us to know what's of interest not only to you, to the sitting board, but to the public when we bring items forward. So I will circle back with staff, and we'll look at what that template might look like in items coming forward.
Right. Thank you, Superintendent.
And I just want to say that I appreciate Dr. McQuarrie pointing out about some of the great gains that Kip Adelante has made, especially even in comparison to some other schools, because this is really the point. We're not, the point of charter schools is not just to have more schools to spread students around, but it's to provide them with a great education, and whoever is doing a really good job needs to be called out and acknowledged.
And another type of charter that I didn't mention in my overview are the virtual charters, which service kids everywhere. They just need a computer and a Wi-Fi, and they're on. So attendance areas, we need to take that into consideration as well.
Great. That concludes the public hearing, and we look forward to seeing you at the time of the vote on your renewal. Thank you, Kip. Yep. All right. Okay, did we have any additional non-agenda public testimony, Ms. Ward? No? Okay, we are adjourned to closed session. Yep.